Okay, guys, welcome back to a new video here. And we got a major assassination conducted by Ukraine on Russian General Igor Kirillov. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. And he was assassinated in a pretty brazen bomb blast in Moscow. Wild stuff, guys. Here's a map here showing where the assassination took place. And this guy is not just some low-level general. This guy is the head of their chemical weapons unit. And again, it's such a wild act to do something like this. And again, this is also the location on the map where he was killed. And we actually have a video, guys, of the assassination of the bomb blast in Moscow. It was actually tied to a scooter. You see him entering outside right now with his assistant. He's walking outside his apartment, as you guys can see, and then boom, unbelievable footage, guys. And again, you would think usually in a situation like this, Ukraine would deny an act like this, but almost immediately it was basically said Ukraine said, "Yeah, it was us," and it was reported by all the mainstream media outlets. Pretty wild stuff. So they take responsibility immediately. And again, this is a CNN article kind of talking about this guy's relation and position. He was the head of their nuclear, biological, and chemical protection forces. So again, this guy was a nuclear general, basically control their nuclear weapons, chemical weapons, biological weapons, the head of that department. And this guy's been in the news many times over the past several weeks and years. And guys, the crazy thing is, this guy was charged 24 hours ago by Ukraine for war crimes, and then he's killed the next day. All you got to know, pretty wild stuff. And again, um, he's been sanctioned by many countries in the West. He's been sanctioned by Britain, for example, for the abhorrent use, or the quote unquote abhorrent use of inhumane chemical weapons on the battlefield in Ukraine, which Russia has been accused of deploying. And again, Ukraine security services behind Kirillov's assassination, source tells CNN. Uh, just absolutely wild stuff here. And again, the fact that you would conduct an act like this in central Moscow, guys, it's a pretty huge escalation, and it is very scary to think what the hell the Russians' response can be. Um, because again, we're seeing a lot of statements from Russian officials on this attack, and it is not good. Okay, we're gonna go here right now to what Dmitry Medvedev said. He said, who's a very high level official in Russia, everything must be done to destroy those who order the murder of General Kirillov. It's a military and political leadership of Ukraine. So we saying everything must be done to destroy them. And again, he has a history of making very brash statements. But again, he's saying they need to be destroyed. This is a high level Russian government official. He's talking about Zelensky. Obviously, an act like this is sanctioned by Ukrainian leadership, including the president of Ukraine. You got to think there's going to be massive strikes on Kiev and surrounding areas in Ukraine. There's no question about it, guys. I mean, and again, the fact that the location is also key. The fact that you would conduct this in central Moscow, no less, that is pretty wild to do. Take into imagine in Washington D.C. there was a bombing, killing an American general by some sort of enemy of the United States, like Iran. It would be Armageddon, guys. And again, assistant killed alongside Kirillov is named another Russian official. And again, I think it's true. This is a fair point to make. I think you're seeing Ukraine make a number of escalations in the lead up to President-elect Trump being inaugurated because they think that Trump might sue for peace immediately. So the Ukrainians are trying to advance their position here. Basically, they're trying to run out the clock. They're trying to make a lot of moves before the clock runs out, supposedly before Trump takes office. But the thing is, guys, it is also extremely risky. With an act like this, you're basically the Russians might be thinking, okay, so you're going to do that in central Moscow. We're going to significantly escalate on the battlefield in terms of missiles and strikes, but it's extremely risky. And you have to wonder, did the Biden administration sign off on this? I'm not sure. My guess would be no, but again, who the hell knows? And again, the UK said they won't mourn this guy. Okay, fine, but the issue is it's an escalatory measure, guys. It's a pretty wild thing to do, especially in Moscow. And the concern is, how high up was this guy? Was it worth it to do take such a risk such as this? And again, in charge of Russian nuclear protection sources as well. This is, I mean, an extremely high level general. Take our Secretary of Defense, guys. Maybe the level just below that. Unbelievable stuff. And I cannot stress enough, the fact that they're taking responsibility for it immediately is wild. It's very brazen, extremely brazen. But again, it's interesting though. From a strategic perspective, was it worth it for Ukraine? I'm just not sure. I'm just not sure. Pretty wild stuff, though. Russian nuclear general, head of their chemical, biological, and nuclear weapons units, which in Russia is, of course, extremely important, assassinated by Ukraine this morning in a car in a not, excuse me, a scooter bomb. It was tied to a scooter, detonated in front of them. And again, he was a charged war criminal, but it's insane. We're seeing major threats coming from Russian government officials on Ukraine following this strike. So we got to hope for the best here, but just unbelievable news coming out of Moscow this morning. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We'll keep you updated any new news that comes out on this. Make sure to like and subscribe. We got some interesting, very interesting things coming out over the next few weeks in terms of major guests and topics. So make sure to like and subscribe. It's super good for the algorithm, and I really appreciate it. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.